evening, everybody. Welcome to Monday night's Not Another Rangers podcast. I think, firstly, appreciation to Scott for his title of this tonight. I just noticed that earlier on. Ding dong, Stewart and Thelwell are gone. He's a big Wicked for Good fan, clearly. Is that right? So is that a little Wicked for Good reference there from you? The Wizard of Oz is from there.
I'm going to say, I'm old school, Gary. I'm the Wizard of Oz for 1936. I think I'm not the Wicked.
Have you ever seen the cinema?
No, I've even seen it. No, I would not getting interest. Not getting interest. I like this. I like the Tin Man. It was actually made of tin cans. No, it's up to date version.
I thought you were going to say Ted McMahon there for those older listeners.
Ted McMahon is real, aye.
And also, I suppose, thank you very much to Andrew Kavanagh today for realising that absolutely nothing happened in the game on Saturday. And we'd have how podcasters have an hour to fill their evening without doing that. So they went and sacked Thelwell and Stewart and gave us something to talk about tonight. So thank you, Andrew Kavanagh, for that. And that will probably be the focus of most of our discussions over the next 45 minutes, an hour. We will talk about a game that's just been and a game that's just coming. But I think the big news from earlier on was that after, 4 months, that long he's been there, Thelwell, must be 4 or 5 months or whatever it may be, it was sacked after managing to put in his whole family. And Kevin and Patrick Stewart was also removed of his duties. So before we get into that and a bit of depth around that, we'll just say hello to. So Cameron, you were at the game on Saturday and we could not find each other. So me and Scott were looking for you. We're in the same stand. Unfortunately, we never got a chance to see you.
I think you were above me. Were you BR1 or BR2?
Yeah, BR2.
All right, I was BF1, so I was down at the front. So you were above me then.
He was in the front, he was in the rear.
That's why. I thought that because I was stood in the half time thing, walking up and down, looking for people.
Yes, that StreamYard came on, Gary. Like I said, it's putting this dodgy screen again. I don't know what's up with it.
So it looks like it's fine. It's fine for me. I've seen it, so I'm not really sure. But if anybody's watching, my apologies. I don't know what's the
other week. Me and Ricky problems. Remember I told you. Both of us look very close up, and we were scaring everybody watching.
I'll get one of the guys to have a look on YouTube, just see how it looks, and see if I can make any adjustments to it. But it's not giving me a lot of opportunity, I don't think. Screen background. No. Anyway, so Scott, what about yourself, Scott? How are you? How was your weekend? Well, I try and mess about this.
Weekend was not too bad. Football Saturday, then was out Saturday night for a meal. Obviously, you were through in Edinburgh. I was just at the end of my road.
So was the game?
We were at 6. The game never started late, but at the end of the Celtic game, I wasn't happy because the place was great for food and it's great for a couple of drinks, and then just at the end of the night, obviously they scored whatever time it was. I wasn't watching it. It was on the screens in the boat. I was up the other side of the pub, but somebody shouts, "That's why we're Celtic." That just really riled me. Do you know what I mean? Like, get a grip, man. That's why we're Celtic. I was actually raging. But I was told to be quiet, so I just have to sit there.
So you did shut up and didn't get yourself in trouble? No fighting at the end of the night?
No, but like I said to the folk next to me, Gary, just switching everything about the screens.
Just messing about while you're talking, keep talking.
Aye. That's not going to stop me going to the boozer again, but I just hope for next time it's not. I'll just pick a night when they're not on the telly.
Yeah, I was fuming. I was driving back. I had the game on the radio and he scored in the last minute. I thought, oh yeah, fuckers, proper damp on the night. That I was fuming.
I was in Edinburgh, so I'd actually missed, and there's no signal in this place I was in, so it was down below. So literally it was 0-0 at half time, and then 5 minutes ago it was 0-0. Then heard the nightmare in terms of the result, in terms of what was it, one full strike for the box. I've seen some of the highlights. I've seen the potential goal that wasn't given. Someone played really well, to be fair to them, and Scott being a Paisley boy. Someone did play really well in the first half.
Obviously, Gary, I don't really want to talk about this Celtic game, but why was St Mirren goal disallowed?
Why was the offside? The guy was in the way. Really?
Yeah, it was deemed that he'd interfered.
He never touched it.
Play. I know, but it was because he's made a move towards the keeper. They felt that the keeper could have.
Even obviously that's right, and they just make something up just to make sure they can offside.
Well, I think this is just a problem with a lot of the VAR stuff. It's just people's interpretation of the rules, like just the actual put them into practice. It's not good enough. That's the thing. Oh, that looks even weird.
Is that better? We'll see if that's
Jeez,
better or worse. We'll see if that's better or worse.
You just scared me that I mean anybody else.
Let's try this for tonight. We'll see how it goes.
I'm sitting back. I'm scared.
You can tell us in the comments if that looks better or not. Anyway, so the big news today, earlier on this morning, that I seen the chat going welfare. Rangers had sacked Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart and made it quite clear they sacked him rather than the party company, I think the word is. And then Andrew Kavanagh was very shortly thereafter on Sky Sports giving his reasons. So I suppose your first impression, Scott, you've obviously been a big advocate of how bad Kevin Thelwell has been, but a little bit surprised around him getting sacked at this time.
I was in my lot this morning. I just see it coming a notification come up on my phone. I was like, honestly, I couldn't believe it. Not way. I actually stopped what I did and was checking my phone, which you're not supposed to do. But I couldn't believe it at first. And then the next minute, I was just big smile across my face, and I was really, really happy. But I was shocked, Gary, because he gave that interview the other week. He was talking the other day about January and stuff like that. So to me, it's came out of the blue, but to us, it's come out of the blue. But I think must have been something else behind the scenes. Maybe what Rose said, maybe it's other things involved, maybe the crowd's not been great, people no happy. It could be it could be all different things. Maybe Kavanagh's shitting himself in case next protest is about him and no they too. So I don't really know what it's about, but it had to be done. It should have been done when Martin gets sacked, to be fair. He should have left then, but he never. But maybe just don't want to give another £20 million or whatever it is. So I'm glad they rectified it, their own mistakes, that is. It's not going to help us just now, but they rectified their own mistakes, getting rid of the two of them. So that's all we can hope is. There we go. See, Gary, you've moved the wrong thing. All we can hope is
horrible thought in every way that.
Now, all we can hope is the next couple of people come in the door actually know a bit more about Scottish football and a bit more about the players we need, and the CEO does a job that well. We don't hear about him.
Yeah. And that's a key point. You know what? I'm not interested in listening to executives and sporting directors and other stuff. You just want to see football games, and we'd rather not be talking about it. If we don't hear from the chief exec, we don't know anything about him, and he just does his job and does it well, that'll be the ideal outcome going forward. Cameron, yourself, again, quite shocked by the timing of it all, particularly when last week we've just appointed a head of academy that we worked with him, and obviously his boy Robbie and Dan Purdy, and the recruiting for a director of football operations and all the stuff that's going on around the background.
Yeah, it does seem odd. I mean, I'm not really surprised by Stewart, because I don't think Stewart was going to last long anyway, to be honest. I believe he was only really brought in to obviously take over. But Thelwell, I was quite surprised at. I'd have thought they'd at least they'd have given him until the January window, maybe. But like you say, just for them to make as many decisions as they have done in terms of recruitment within the structure that they've chosen to go down, I can only imagine that they want to change direction. They want to go to maybe more a Red Bull sporting structure, maybe. And Thelwell and Stewart are not the ones to facilitate that. I can only imagine. Or maybe there's been some sort of investigation gone on, in which case it's become apparent that neither of them are up for the job. But it did seem strange timing, to be honest, because they've had numerous opportunities to do it, and they haven't. And then just out the blue, we won on Saturday. All right, we're still fourth, and then just the rumours were circulating this morning, and then the club statement I thought it was going to be apparently when I clicked on it, I thought it was going to be someone with a finger up like that, go, hey. But and then it was a genuine statement. And I thought, well, that's not bad for a Monday morning, is it?
I think, Cameron, it was interesting how short and sweet a statement it was. Do you know what I mean? Normally there's a lot of flowery language around these things to literally say, what was it, two sentences, 3 sentences? The party company with some
suppose what? Yeah, well, there's not, you can't exactly go over and say, well, we think that their work here has been tremendous, because bottom line is it hasn't. So I suppose really that was just how it is. I mean, Thelwell's been with the club not even 6 months, and Stewart not even 12 months. So I suppose really that's as long as it could have been, the statement.
Yeah, no, I would agree. So shortly thereafter, I said, Scott, there's a Sky Sports, Andrew Kavanagh seems to spend more time in Scotland than he does in America these days. He seems to be constantly there. He was on Sky Sports, and lot of interesting things. I don't know in terms of said very little, but a lot of the language you used was quite interesting. Some of the stuff around, I suppose it's about driving the club forward. They were not the right executives to take the club the direction it was going. They've been looking at potential options over the last wee while. Some suggested I've been talking to different candidates, some of whom may be in jobs. There was a question about the existing people like Robbie Thelwell, etc. And certainly didn't give them a vote of confidence. What he said was, as long as anybody contributing to Rangers, they'll have a future, and if they don't, they won't. So his interview, Scott, was quite. I suppose you can't say enough of Locks. He didn't want to criticise the people, but he was also quite pointed about the decision they've taken.
I think he's probably thinking, Gary, he spent all this money buying the club, money into the club, buying his recruitment, and I know quite a lot of other people there in the weekend, the guys who were involved in the purchase of Rangers and stuff, who maybe not seen us this season, and probably just sitting thinking, what the hell's happening? Because I think the last time we were there, we were doing well in Europe. Dessers was banging them in, and you're thinking, we're not going to win the league, but we qualified for the last stages of the Europa League. We haven't even got a point this season, so I think the football's get worse. I mean, Thelwell's the only guy who come in, spend all that money and make us worse than we were last season. But I think Gary Thelwell looked at this as a job where he's come up here, this is Scottish football, he's worked with Everton and Wolves and thinking, that's only Scotland, they'll take up some players for down south and it'll be a canter. And it's totally different. Scottish football is different from other leagues. It's not as good, obviously, and technically the players aren't as good, but what a lot of players have up here is heart. And some of the players we've signed don't have any heart. I think Asgard's one of them. The boys get bags of talent, but he doesn't want to get involved. Physicality wise, I mean, he's 6'1", and he's well built, but he doesn't like the physicality of football up here. So I think they probably looked at Thelwell's recruitment and thought, that's not going to do. We're going to have to look further afield, and let's say hopefully whoever they bring in are earmarked, because I noticed they said there's time scales on recruitments because that will new folk in just because they could be in positions on other places. So, and I think they've probably asked folk or inquired about people before making this decision, because Americans usually do that. I mean, I know I watch a lot of American sports, and sometimes they get guys in position very quickly after they've let somebody go, like in basketball, baseball, etc., American football. So, and if they're involved with Rangers, and if I try to do it that way, they're probably thinking we need to get something done quickly, because January's not far away, and I don't know if Danny Rose, I did take with his assessment of the squad saying shite, more shite, and that's not really helped him either, do you know that way? So listen, we all seen it, everybody's seen it. We all knew at the start of the season when the three of them sat at the desk, Martin, Thelwell and Stewart, not one Rangers fan is happy seeing that photograph of the three. We're happy seeing that photograph now because they're away, but we've waited 6 months, Gary, because the season here at this moment in time, we should be doing better than what we are. And it's frightening to say, as Ricky would say if he's here, we're starting a title race. To me, I don't think so. I don't think the squad's good enough, but hope I'm wrong. But we could be a lot better off this season. We should be, considering what we've spent and what the other teams have been doing. We should be a lot higher in that league. But give Danny Rule his credit. He's won 4 in a row in the league. And that's been difficult considering what he's had to play with.
Mm-hmm. I suppose the crux of it, Cameron, is that the recruitment that Thelwell is overseen, and he's not the only one that's involved in it, but the one he's overseen, we've signed 13 players, if you take out Lyle Cameron, because that wasn't his signing, so 12 players, and it's hard to see anything other than maybe 2 or 3 of them being average at best up to now.
Yeah, but I mean, let's have it right. I know Thelwell gets a lot of heat, but one that should be getting more heat than Thelwell got was Dan Purdy, because he's the one who identifies these targets. He's the one who collects a shortlist. Thelwell just signs off on it and makes sure that it fits within the financial structure and the structure that the club wants to take. So Dan Purdy is equally as responsible, if not more responsible, for the mess than we're in than Thelwell and Stewart. But I mean, I maintain the fact that I think this squad is still not a bad squad. I don't think it's as bad as people are being made out. I think it's short of confidence. I definitely think there's wiggle room there. I think it's a few experienced players short of being a really, really good footballing side. But at the same time, we still haven't. I was never sold on the signings we made on a forward line, Miofsky, Jamiti, was never sold on them. We'd never replaced Dessers. We're still crying out for an experienced number 6. I don't think defensively that it was reinforced. I think the midfield is really the only part of the pitch where I kind of have a little bit of confidence and a little bit of faith and optimism. But yeah, they definitely left a lot to be desired. I mean, but I just think the markets we were looking in, especially from when Copland was in charge, I think they were miles better value for money. Looking in Morocco and the African leagues, it was just it was more kind of where we should be looking, in my opinion. Looking in the championship is an inflated market. Always has been, always will be. So yeah, but like I said, there's Thelwell's gone, Stewart's gone, but definitely attention has got to turn to Purdy. I think he's the main driver behind, if people want to say we've had poor recruitment, he's the one who identifies the targets.
Yeah. So, Scott, we obviously had Patrick Stewart come in, I don't know, was it last January? I can't remember when it was he came in. It was around about last January. He was arguably there on behalf of the 49ers. Nobody really knows for definite. Well, they oversaw the football review, done some of the due diligence. Some of the things that's been labelled at him, that he wasn't really particularly in tune with the fans. He didn't look like a chief exec in terms of any charisma or personality, and he probably showed a disdain for the club. Was often the view of a lot of fans. So I suppose in terms of what he done, it's hard to know. We don't know what he does on a day-to-day basis. You don't know what his role is, how he performed and how he done that. But he never really quite clicked as somebody that fitted that role of a Rangers chief exec.
No, I think Patrick Stewart's a numbers man, isn't he? That's his game. It's no facing the public. He always looked very uncomfortable, Gary, when he had to make press statements or had to face people. He just didn't look like he wanted to be doing it. He looked like a guy he didn't want to be there. I think you'd rather be in an office somewhere with the door shut, not having to face anybody, but just doing his job. But yeah, he was brought in maybe oversee the purchase that's been done. And I think it was probably time for him to go, because obviously he was getting both of them are getting a lot of abuse for the fans. And no matter who you were bringing in, we seen it the other week when we were bringing in a couple of members of staff, everybody's starting to see these guys aren't good enough just because the association with Thelwell, and they could be. Right. But as you said earlier, if you're banded in the same brush as we worked with Wolves with Thelwell, we worked with Thelwell at Everton, you're thinking, I can't be good enough, and it's not always going to be the case, but that's just what happens because people just didn't want Thelwell to be there. I know you mentioned Dan Purdy. I think when a new director of football does maybe come in, he might be away as well, because he might not be one of the guys he wants, but I don't think they're going to sack everybody just now because they have to leave some folk there. But the time will tell. But I think they two were the big ones that had to go. Remember, Thelwell was there first, so he brought in all the different pieces.
Yeah,
it's not who was in charge, he brought in all the different pieces. And I think after Martin getting the sack and employing your own son, no matter how good or how bad he is, you don't do that. I think then they two reasons he should have been gone then, but he lasted for some reason.
Yeah, I think we talked about that way back when it happened a few weeks ago. You know, it could be the greatest head of recruitment in the world. It could be the most fantastic and outstanding player head of recruitment going forward. But read the room. At a time when you're being criticised, you've made the wrong decision as a manager. You can't go and appoint your own son. And to be fair, what I would say is that Andrew Kavanagh and Padraig Madrati apparently signed off on it. So I mean, they should have known better themselves. I think that's some of the issues, and we'll maybe come to that in a wee moment. And it's all right. We blamed Martin, we blamed Thelwell, we blamed Stewart, but the owners have made all those decisions to bring these people in, and every one of them have failed so far. So that's on them as well. So the difference is you can't change the owners because they're the ones that own the club. That's the difference. You can get rid of managers, you can get rid of coaches, you can get rid of directors of football, stuff like that. You can't get rid of the people that actually own the thing. So they have to take a hell of a lot of accountability, Karen, over the last 6 months for decisions they've made, which have ultimately led us backwards.
Yeah, but just regarding the Robbie Thelwell, I know he gets a lot of grief, but I suppose with those decisions you got to take the emotion out of it. If you wouldn't necessarily, if we were winning and it was appointed and no one really bats an eye, and he goes through the same process and he's still the ideal candidate, then I can, you've got to take the emotion out with these decisions.
Read the room, Cameron, you've got to read the room at the time. You know, there's timing for things. You don't.
I get that, but I suppose if he is the best candidate, what do you do? If he was the best candidate,
the best candidate I won, but I probably didn't look for anybody else because his name's there and his dad's there. That is the issue. I'm in a big place for a lot of football clubs, and the guys at Norwich, and you're not telling me somebody at Norwich is a better candidate than other people in that country at bigger clubs and better clubs. So I just think the association with his dad and Purdy, that was the reason he came. Because if they two were there, he wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, no, I agree. If you're looking at it, you know, the owners should have gone, well, he's your son, it's a bit off. But at the same time, if you're going to go through the same process, and if we're winning and you're top of the league and that same decision happens, no one bats an eye, you've got to take the emotion out of it. I still agree that the owners should have looked at that and gone, this is not the right time. This is not going to be received well, because it's all about image, isn't it? But I do think sometimes when you make these appointments, you've got to take the emotion out of it, to be honest. Because if you're consistently making decisions based on emotion, then you're never going to make the right decisions, are you?
No, definitely. I mean,
that's how you could run Rangers, Cameron, because we make decisions based on emotions. We want to use our head, and that's how it's very hard for fans.
I'd agree with you totally. You've got to be pragmatic in decision making and do it based on the right things, but you've also got to take account of all the external factors at the time, and the external factors at the time suggested that wasn't a good move. It wasn't beneficial for him, for Robbie, more importantly, and anybody else. You know, because it's not helpful for him. As Scott says, he's tarnished now with the fact that he's his dad's boy, as is Dan Purdy, as is others. Now they will struggle to get the backing of the fans. They'll struggle to get the backing of the club. Actually, if I'm being honest, going forward, and that's not their fault in some ways.
No, but then that's up to him to change that, isn't it? If he comes in and he does a very good job, then he's turned the table, isn't he? So it's now all on him. If he comes out of it and he's a complete diddy and he's useless, then most people will be proved right. But he's got an opportunity now to show that he's capable. So if he takes that, fair play to him.
To be head of loans, and a loans manager at Norwich and a scout at Norwich, you shouldn't come to Rangers as head of recruitment. It's too big a jump. It's like coming for the Rangers B team, playing in the first team. It's too big a jump straight away. Coming as just another scout or something else is fine with me, but coming to be head of recruitment,
but again, we don't know what the pool of candidates were like. We might have just you might have been stuck with
as a pool of one.
Yeah, but that might be the case, now, might it?
Hopefully there was a robust recruitment thing. That doesn't suggest there was necessarily a lot.
Listen, I interviewed Martin 7 times. Look how wrong they get that.
Well, definitely, and I suppose that takes me back to the point I was making a minute ago. Then, so we talk about them interviewing Martin 7 times. We talk about them interviewing Gerrard, Danny Rowe, and Muscat, and all the stuff before they got to there. We talk about the fact that they recruited Patrick Stewart arguably Patrick Stewart, but certainly Kevin Thelwell, and Cavan has been involved in every one of those, and he's at great pains last month to talk about how he was involved in all the recruitment exercises, and they've failed badly. To be honest, I suppose I want to focus a little bit. Just the actual owners have failed badly in everything they've done so far in the first 6 months.
I think when owners, but Gary, you spent that money in the club purchasing it, and it's your money you're buying with. You can make mistakes because you're the person that can also rectify them. And we can't get rid of the owners because we need the owners, because they put a lot of money into the club. Unless somebody's got a spare 70 million set, and you can go and say, right, I'll buy Rangers back off you. So we can't blame them, but
that's why Ricky's working overtime tonight.
I'm going to say you could have done it, Gary. You've got a lot of money. No, it's when you invest that much money, you can make mistakes. You can rectify it as well. It's just you don't want them to constantly keep making mistakes. They've employed 2 of them. I think Stewart, he was just there when they came through. He overseen it, so he probably thought we'll just keep him there. But it didn't work out. Thelwell, obviously, they went after. Martin, they went after, and it's not worked out. So you're hoping with all being there now, and then they're bringing somebody else in, you're hoping it works better because it has to. Because you've seen the drop in attendances, you've seen the drop in sales, and don't want to release strips or putting the dates back in case people don't purchase and stuff like that. And he said himself, and it's even said in the reports for the figures last week, it's about Rangers making money, Rangers selling out tickets, Rangers hospitality for European games. They've been a drop in attendance for them all. Do you know that way? And Braga on Thursday night. You'll be lucky if there's 30,000, I would say. It's not great reading. Whereas this time last year, all European games were getting sold out, Gary. That's what, when they first came up here, that's what they were enthralled with, the atmosphere at the games and the Ibrox bouncing. This season, it's been the opposite. So they have to rectify it, and it may have been longer than we hoped for, but they've done it. So I just hope their next decisions are better.
Yeah. I'm not going to.
That's all we can hope for.
No, I'd agree. I suppose I'm not going to give them a lot of credit for making the decision to do it when you've actually done it's caused the problem in the first place by appointing them. Do you know that's?
But no board done things. They would have let it fester longer and longer until maybe the end of the season, then made a change. At least he's done it at this time. He didn't let it go by the January window. And then we're saying, "There's enough 3 players have brought in at absolute losses." At least he's done it before it. At least they let it go for so long, but then they have made the change. They've had the balls to say, right, no, this needs changed. For whatever reason, they've had the balls to do it. Yeah, we can criticise them for putting these people in position, but they've had the balls to change it this quickly in.
So Scott, thinking about what confidence do you have that they now, given the fact that their failures in the last 3 appointments on those different appointments, that they'll get the right one this time?
I don't know. You're just going to have to try and trust them. Maybe they spoke to other people. Maybe they spoke to football people. You know, you would hope that the boys involved with Leeds knows a bit, but when you look at Leeds at the moment, they're a bit bin fire as well. So I don't know, Gary. I just hoping they can bring in somebody. If they're going after people who are in jobs, and you're hoping it's somebody who's in a job but they're doing really well. You may have to pay a wee bit to get them, but if I'm still working at this moment in time, then if that's who we're going after, people who are still in position, then they're working at the moment, so they're getting trusted with some football club. If that is a director of football, they're bringing in, I'm the CEO that's employed, I don't know, but all we can do as fans is sit and trust them. We can't, and I'm the worst for it criticising, but you're just hoping the next person that comes in, he does hit the ground running, because the manager can only do so much with a squad, and the squad needs improved, and we all said that he needs a window or two. But you can't, maybe that's another reason. Maybe Kavanaugh says, well, if you want to give manager a chance, we're going to give him another window or two with Thelwell pulling it, because we've heard rumours he didn't like the players that was offered to him. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what we've heard as well. So there's a lot of different rumours flying about. There's a lot of different things people have said, I've heard this and I've heard that. There's so much going about it, but unless you're in the room when it happened, you don't really know. But like I say, the squad, to me, for the money it's spent on that squad, the squad's not good enough to be challenging for a title. No matter how close we are to top league, I don't think we can challenge unless January recruitment is spot on.
Yeah. I'm just going to pick on this point. So great. Well, I get your point. Kavanagh will be wiser now for this experience, but Cameron, would you not then say that the same would apply to Thelwell? Would be wiser for the Russell Martin experience? What makes one different than the other?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think it does, to be honest. I mean, these appointments, he could get them wrong again. There's nothing to say that he's learned his mistake. The proof will be in who he appoints next and how the team performs and how the transfer window goes. The proof will be in how it goes the next few months. But there's no telling that he's learned his lesson. All he's learned is that the fans will sort of vote with their feet, and if they're not happy, they'll just stop coming to games. On that, I'll have a massive impact on his pockets, because we're a club who, at the minute, he said in his interview today, where they want to focus on the sporting stuff first before they focus on the commercial side. So if we fail on the footballing side, we're not really going to make any income.
No.
So it's going to involve then more investment coming in, which I don't think shareholders want to do, because the return on investment in Scottish football is not great. Never has been. That's why the player trading model is there, but that stinks at the minute. It's not good enough. So we won't really know if he's learned his lesson. He can do all the interviews that he wants, in fairness to him, but we're only going to be able to tell by seeing the results on the football pitch. If he can bring someone in and we can sign decent players in January and the squad improves, and who knows, we may even go on to win the league or could do the double, whoever, whatever, then maybe you can go, yeah, he learned his lesson, but we won't know until we see who he appoints.
Mm-hmm. I suppose just stick with that then, Cam. So talk about recruitment, and I see a comment here about the 8 million for Chamiti, and that's the one the stick that's always going to beat him with. But in terms of recruitment transfer window opens 5 weeks from now. 5 weeks, is that right? And it's highly unlikely they're going to start from a blank sheet of paper now. Just rip up everything they had before. So the way these transfer windows work, if you look at Rangers signing over the last 2-3 years, it's been the previous sporting director that's often had a hand in them. So they talked about Rothwell was looked at for 2 years, etc., etc. So I suppose my take on it would be just because Thelwell's away doesn't mean it won't be the same shortlist.
Okay, Sam or Ant-Man were on Coppen's shortlist.
Mm-hmm.
They were identified by him and his team. So yeah, you're right. There's no saying that January is going to be any different. But you'd hope, wouldn't you, that if they've decided that Thelwell is not the man, bearing in mind actually the guy who is actually creating them recruiting a short list of players is actually still employed by the club in Dan Purdy. So there's no telling that January is going to be any different in terms of the market that we're looking in. So who knows? Who knows? Like you say, there's multiple times where you're using shortlists based on. I mean, Beale did that, didn't he? He used shortlists off of years ago from when he was there. So I don't know how long it takes to compile a short list of transfer targets. I'm assuming Roll's made it clear the positions he wants, and he will have preference over what kind of players he wants and what he wants his short list to look like. But I think we've seen from Roll, if he doesn't like the player, he won't sign him.
No, I agree. I'm good. So I'm coming in a minute, Scott. I just want to pick up something with Cameron there. So you were at the game, Cameron, right? This is your first domestic game of the season, and it was the crowd was pretty poor. The atmosphere was pretty flat. The game was obviously terrible. But even before that, I mean, I noticed that I looked around the stadium. I thought that there's only 35,000, 40,000 maybe there. There's no reason on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock for it to be that empty. And despite the fact we've got new managers, despite the fact we won 3 domestic games in a row, the place still looks flat.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking the same. I kind of got to 10-3, and I'm looking at the ground going, is this it? Is it going to get any fuller? You know, because like I say all the time, I can't get on games when we're winning. I can't get on them because I'm not a manager, but I have to wait for General Sale, and General Sale it's sold out. You know, you look at Europe on a Thursday. When we're doing well, I can never get European tickets ever because they're gone. But the atmosphere was flat. You could sense the frustration in the team. But again, this is just going to come from winning games on a regular basis, and fans are clearly not happy. I mean, I know the Union Bears held up a banner. I think it was something political that I saw. But, you know, you can just sense that the atmosphere in the club itself is flat. People haven't been happy, and they haven't been happy for a long time. And it's not just winning four games in a row is going to help that. What's going to help is actually winning a game in Europe, maybe potentially getting to a playoff in Europe. That might help. I mean, from where I was sat, the crowd didn't look great. No, to be honest, it did simply the best. That was it. I've been on league games against Aberdeen. I was on Aberdeen in January this year, and that was a lot livelier than Saturday was. I know it was Livy, but it was just completely flat, and it was full of tension and anxiety, especially when it went to 1-1. And the crowd was just so frustrated, especially at the performance. Was just so frustrated.
Yeah. And Scott, I suppose we'll come into the game in a wee minute, but I suppose I'm just thinking, and I've noticed the last couple of games and being at the games, it does look really flat, the stadium, everything about it, just let's say 40,000, 35, 40,000 there, lots of empty seats. People just, despite the fact we've got a new manager, despite the fact that we're potentially edging our way back into a title race, we still can't even get anywhere close to what we were getting last year when we were struggling just as badly.
I think if you look across the old grounds in Scotland at the moment, Gary, there's not really anyone's full. Even in Hearts were doing well. I think there's still empty, still some spare seats somewhere. So I don't know if it's maybe the way people are in general, no spending, they can't afford to go every week. But obviously, if we were playing better, it would be fuller. But I think the summer was really good because with the takeover and everybody was bouncing and buzzing, and you couldn't wait till the season started. But I think it was a gut punch what happened with Martin, and I think that's just deflated so many people. They're thinking they're no go because you're that down, and some people very easily they get angry, so don't want to go because it makes it worse. And I think me and you are probably at age where like Saturdays not so much you're going because it's more of a routine as well because you always go to football. Do you know that way? So even if we're not playing great, you're going because I went with my sister, you go with your daughter and stuff like that. And I think for other people going, it's like, well, if you're playing well, I'll go. I know that's not great, but a lot of people do that. When you're playing well, they want to go, but when you're not playing well, or something else I can spend my money on the day. I'll go out for a meal, I'll go shopping, or go out for a couple of beers and watch it in the pub or whatever. And that's just the way it is these days. But I think Rangers fans have been through quite a lot, and we've had a lot of ups and downs in the last few years. But I think the big high in the summer with the takeover and then this, it's just actually been a gut punch for so many people that don't know. People are struggling to take it, and it's like, I go back and put all my hope in this again just to get a punch in the face. I keep going. Do you know what I mean? It does destroy you, Gary. You know, like yourself. I mean, I've been, and probably a lot of people on here can think me, but if Rangers get beat, I'm in a cunt of a mood. I'm not happy. Do you know what I mean? You're probably the same. Cameron's probably the same. Probably people watching the same. And it's not because you're unhappy with anybody in your life or whatever. It's just because your football team's lost. And even if you kind of expect it at times, you're still unhappy about it because the result gets you down, the performance gets you down, and as a football fan, these things happen. So you're not the most happy person to be about, and you get it. But it's only football. It is only football, but it means a lot to you. So I don't know. Maybe people are starting to look at it differently, but all we can do is hope it. I mean, I'm quite happy with Daniel. I think 4 victories in a row with these type of players is really good. But we have been lucky at times. It's not always going to be having the luck, but I just hope when we get to January, we're still in similar position and the window is successful. I know you said Purdy's still there, but Daniel could come up with a few players himself. You know, he knows a lot of other people. He knows people that's played down in England. He knows people that's played in Germany, and he knows watching Rangers what we need, probably more than Thelwell, Purdy, Thelwell Jr. and Martin probably did, because that's the type of guy he is, and that's why he probably made that list as well, to emphasise he's not good enough, he's a maybe, and I'm happy with him.
Yeah. So I don't want to talk anymore about the sacking of a director of football, chief exec, because it is, at the end of the day, it's 2 executives we shouldn't be talking about every week. We should be focusing on the football. Fortunately enough, with the game on Saturday, there was very little to focus on, so it's not going to take as long to cover that in a lot of depth. Cameron was up for his first domestic game of the season against Livingston. The result was 2-1 for those that don't remember it, because there's other things happened since then. It was probably one of the most boring games I've been at this season. But there's that age-old adage, it's 3 points and up the road and all that sort of stuff that goes with it. You can't win a title without scraping by some poor games. Cameron, I suppose, just as overall thoughts. I don't want to get into all the different bits of the game in much detail, but just your kind of overall thoughts on the game, performance, who stood out, who failed to take their chance again.
I was screaming my balls off for an hour and a half. I was fuming. I was pissed off with quite a few things. I thought Kusama was lazy. He got himself in really decent positions, and he was just stitching Magoma up every time. He would never really make any runs forward, runs to overlap. He would just kind of Magoma would have the ball, and he'd just kind of stand about 5 yards away from him, and just stand still. I felt sorry for Ant-Man. There was a couple of times the 2 centre halves had the ball, and Ant-Man made blazing runs forward, and no one tried to play any over the top for him at all. And it even created space for Tav, and he just take 3 or 4 touches, and it's gone. I thought Fernandes did okay. I thought he was a bit shaky. I thought technically he's still got a bit to prove, but I thought from a physicality perspective, I thought he gives us something different on a corner. You know, he nearly scored again, I think, about 5 minutes after. He had one at that post. So that was good to see. But it was an incredibly frustrating afternoon. Everything was just too slow. Players not wanting to take risks. I thought Miovski came on. He did okay. I was really pleased with Bajrami. Really, really pleased with Bajrami. I definitely think he offers us something different. Moving forward, he was just direct. He was positive. But everything just seemed to be slow, passive. It was very similar to Martin in that players just didn't want to play a risky pass for fear of giving it away. So just played it sideways.
Do you think it was, we talked to this too, do you think it was to do with not wanting to play a risky pass or not necessarily having the ability to play that particularly that one to Ant-Man, that was on at least half a dozen times. I think we spoke about that at half-time, Scott, just play the ball over. The guy was making good runs. And other than Tav, probably none of them actually have the ability to play the ball at the top. So whether it be Raskin, Diomande or Giga and the other side of Fernandes, none of them actually have the technical ability to play that ball.
I don't know. I really don't know what it was. I mean, it can't be that hard, can it? I mean, even if you float it and it's not right to him, Ant-Man's got pace for days. He'll probably get to the end of it. You know, we're not talking about playing a ball through to, I don't know, John Suter here. We're talking about playing it over for Oliver Antman, who's really, really quick. I think there was a little bit of unwillingness to do it. To be quite honest, again, like you say, Tav did it a few times. We did a big diag to Kasama or to Asgard, and it worked perfectly fine because I think Livingston were not as deep as I thought they would have played. They were actually surprisingly quite high, in my personal opinion. I thought, I just thought that there was just, you could see it. You could see players making runs and they just weren't doing it. It was so frustrating. And then defensively, again, Butland must hate playing with Giga. He must hate it.
Do you think you don't talk to each other at all? Just don't like each other, don't speak?
I don't know what it is, but it's just one ball over the top. And this is the thing that bothers me with Butland. If you've got centre halves that are that high, you should be another 10 yards off your line and think any balls over the top, I'm coming. But he don't want to do it. He does not want to do it. But then what he does in a 1v1 is he doesn't commit himself to a decision. He stands in no man's land. He's either got two choices, either come out and smother him or drop deep to his 6-yard box and say, right, you come and beat me. Because I think, was it Giga or Fernandez was right on the boy. It was right on him. It wasn't like he had space. They were tussling for it. So there's just that high defensive line against these low block teams. We just struggle again and again and again to deal with it. And you've either got one centre half way too high above the other, and it's one below the top, and it's 1-1 or 1-0.
Yeah. So Scott, similar to you, I suppose. Cameron's gave quite an in-depth there, but I suppose some of the key points we talked at half-time that Nasser Giga, obviously, how two centre halves can beat one man a ball over the top. It's pretty simple defending. You've done it. We are coaching kids. One drops, and as soon as the ball's coming, the other one goes and presses the man. Not that difficult. We get caught with that a few times. Obviously, the potential penalty is similar. If I remember rightly, we get caught. So I suppose Giga is all over the place. Fernandez first half passing was woeful, but he could do it in the game, to be fair to him. And as he says, Butland kind of struggles to come off his line, kind of hesitates where he is. Which isn't the first thing. That's about 3 or 4 times at least I can think of. Particularly Giga and him have got caught, both looking at each other. And the prime example, the big example was the European goal, wasn't it, with that one against, was that Bruges?
I don't think Butland's not a super keeper, as Cameron mentioned. He's never played that role. I don't think he's happy. I don't think he's got the ability to play it. I think he just likes to sit deep. I don't know why he came out, and opened his legs, like put it through this hole. Why would you do that, Cameron? I'm not a keeper. Why would you come out and spread your legs like that? So there's a big gap. The guy just pokes it through his toe. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, sit a bit back and then if the defender doesn't get him, then time. I don't know. It's just another shambles of defending with 3 of them, to be honest with you. And it's just another long ball, wasn't it? It was just even like, it was just a straight long ball and the big boy just chase it because they'll make a mistake. You'll not make a mistake. They make a mistake and you can get the goal for it. And that's the way everybody must think playing against Rangers. It's not like difficult. They'll make a mistake before you do and you'll get the chance. But everyone was quite passive. It was sideways passing, backwards. The 2 centre halves are passing each other because no one wanted to play the ball forward. Raskin was getting deeper and deeper and deeper because I've seen Roll shouting to him to get deeper. So obviously he's been told to go deeper to take the ball off the centre backs. He done a couple of balls in second half for Raskin, then they reached their targets and they were okay, but he's not the best pass either. But people say he does it with Belgium. If you watch Belgium, he doesn't. He wins the ball back for Belgium, lets others do the.
That's De Bruyne do it. That's what he's there for.
Creative stuff, because that's his job. At Rangers, being creative so much as his job. He's good going forward and getting into the box and going up for headers and stuff. But his passing's not the best. Deal's passing's not the best, like you've said. So I don't know. Maybe that's why we use Suter so much. To be honest with you, when we were playing at the start of the season, just because we thought, well, he can play along diagonal and a long ball up to time. He's like, maybe nobody else can do it. I don't know, Gary, but everything was just slow. Passive. It was like, didn't want to make a mistake because they didn't want to be called out, be either the manager or the fans. So some were hiding, some weren't hiding. Asgard, to me, doesn't want to be there. It's not me, he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be in the football park at this moment in time. I think his confidence is on the deck. He's got ability, but Scottish football, I don't think he can handle it. I don't. And I think when I've signed him, I thought it'll be a good signing because I've seen him play before and he stood out in a few games and you thought, this boy's get a bit about him. He can go left, go right, he can pass, he can shoot, he can score, and you think that's a good signing, but then he can run up to Rangers and it's like, who is this guy? I've not really seen him before. But he's not the only one. He's not the only one at them all, so I think, I don't know where to go. I mean, there's a few people in the chat tonight calling us different names, but thanks for viewing anyway, guys. I appreciate it.
Good on you. So, enjoy better doing a Monday night. Watch something else. See, Asgard then, just picking up on him, because he was taken off at half time again, Scott, for a few times, and he's really struggling. And I watch him every time. I think, do you know why? Because you've got the technical attributes, you've got the height, you've got the strength. You played in League One, which was a physical league, and you're playing for Norway and contributing to Norway. I think it was 1-1 when they won last week in the game, and they won. I just don't. I kind of struggle to understand why that is. He just can't fit in. Is it positionally? Is it the confidence you say, or is it something else?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him, but I know Daniel came out and said he still believes in him. Is he just saying that to try and keep his hopes up and maybe he goes away in January? I don't really know, but I do think, like I said earlier, he's got ability. He's still quite young, but ability doesn't always, as you see before with players we've bought, ability doesn't get you far in Scotland unless you're willing to dig deep and dig in. Like, I mean, if they hold the same kind of attitude that Barron's got, they'd be better. I mean, Conor Barron's not get the best ability, we know that, but he'll run through a brick wall for you. Whereas I don't think any of these guys would.
No, true. Somebody's asking if they sell it out of their own podcast. I think they cut short them, do they not? Is that just the AGMs? They have to cut short because they kind of sort of have to go on something else. So maybe that's the reason.
I don't really watch anything with interest, but if they want to come on here, then that's totally fine by me.
Give us extra viewers. We're more than happy with it. So it's all good, and you get to hear us talk about a far more interesting team than the rivals. I suppose that the other thing, just to make sure that we are not biased in any way, and unlike some others, is that there's a shout for a penalty that we didn't see at any point during the game. It looked pretty innocuous, nothing happened, Cameron. But having seen the replay, I think we're all given
penalty. Still Waller. Simple as. If it's at the other end, for us, we'd be screaming for it. Again, I think it's just a thing with VAR. We've got to be fair here. When we're screaming decisions for us and they're not given, we've got to be fair and criticise. And I think with this one, we've got away with one massively. It's a handball. At the time, I did think it came off his thigh, but I've seen multiple different angles and it doesn't look like it does. It looks like it just purely hit his hand. I think the reasoning that John Beaton gave was that the proximity, or the fact that he had one leg off the floor, maybe, so that his arm was in a natural position. I don't know. The problem that we've got with VAR is just the application of these stupid rules and the details. That's the issue.
I think that's it. You know, I mean, it's not even VAR, and it's nothing to do with VAR. It's interpretation by the referees. Because if you watch the Liverpool game yesterday, there was a goal disallowed for a guy standing in front of the keeper. Sorry, the goals disallowed, wasn't it? No, it was allowed. And then the week before, Liverpool had a goal disallowed for standing in front of the keeper, and the Amande one. There's umpteen of the same thing each week. You can say that. You see some things are given, some things are not, and there's no real understanding as to why that is. You know, and I talked earlier on about obviously the Celtic game against St Mirren when the guy standing offside position, so they disallow it, and there's no. I don't think any's ever really know. So when a handball's not given, you don't know whether it's right or wrong. It's proximity, it's hand.
Yeah, there's just so many factors to it now. It should just be purely if the ball hits his hand, then it's above his head or it's out by his side. Forget proximity. Just put it that way. If it's harsh, it's harsh. But it's just too many factors and legislations and rules that it has to be before you give it. It's just daft. And
Scott, you know, you're going to come in there. I suppose it's just maybe on the more general VAR or refereeing, and just I don't even just in Scotland, because in England it's just bad. I watch games every week and I'm thinking there's a different interpretation one time than there was the other time.
That's what it's about, Gary. That's how they interpret it. But no, it was a penalty for me. I think I didn't see it at the game when I was sitting, but seeing it on TV, yeah, it's a penalty every day of the week, and I'm not going to sit and say anything else because people are going on about it really bad. It's all over social media. It's worse than the trusty kick in the head. Do you know what I mean? But but you didn't kick him hard enough, so he stayed on the park. Did you know that? It was only a tap. It wasn't a boot. It was on the side. It was side of his foot, no be in front of his foot. No, but it was a penalty every day of the week, and if it was up on the other end, I'd want a penalty, and obviously should have got a penalty, but they never, and I'm glad they never, because the referee never gave it, but it was a penalty every day of the week. So if they got a penalty we probably would have been sitting here more angry because we drew. Do you know what I mean? So I don't like the handball rule, Gary. I'm old school, whereas I agree with Calvin a bit. Where if I hit your hand, I hit your hand. I don't. You shouldn't try and make all different reasons. Well, you hit your hand because of this. I hit your hand because of that, and I'm not going to go on a mad rant like Michael Stewart, who was having a heart attack on the radio, by the way. Yeah, I listened to me bit that on Twitter the other day. He was actually saying, get to a point, I thought he was going to say corruption with Rangers, but he was that bad. But he never went that far, but that's what he was like. That's a penalty, it's a definite penalty. I can't believe it's not given, blah, blah, blah. But listen, it's one of the things, but because Rangers are involved, it's always people talk about it.
Higher profile, is that what they say? Second half then, Scott, you know, there's not a lot to talk about. Miofsky comes on, does quite well, actually, because he's making runs in behind. Bajrami comes on and probably man of the match for the half an hour he was on, actually, and a few other changes here and there. We get a second goal from a bit of good fortune to some degree. I think it's hard to. I'm not quite sure whether Tav hits the ball over and Miofsky touches it, or whether Miofsky misses it and it goes to Diamandi. It's a bit difficult to tell.
I have to say, Gary, I thought Miofsky done really well, and I still think he can come good. I still think there's a player there. I thought he'd done really well. He was unlucky with setting Gassama up, who scored. And Barami come on and done really well too. So you're just hoping it continues. You've seen Barami doing this before. He come in and he plays well, and then he gets starts, and it's like he's not there anymore, and he's missing. And I would go with Miofsky. I don't think Danilo suits the lone striker role. I think he struggles up there himself.
Right.
I think you have to play him further back, or you play him in a 2. I think you can play there as a 1. So, and obviously Chamiti's goose by all accounts. So, and hopefully hopefully Thelwell gets a job soon, and he can buy him again. For
You've stolen that. I've seen that in the comments earlier. You've stolen that one for somebody else. My apologies, never said that.
Well, I think everybody was saying that today. I was listening to. So, no, listen. It is what it is. We've not get any. A front three is not that great, but I'm hoping Miofsky gets another games because I think he can score goals. And I thought he looked a bit more confident when he came on as a sub. I don't know if he's goal against Wales, even though they get humped. Do you know what I mean?
They actually played the right way to him. I mean, his game is playing the ball over the top to him to run on. His game's not back to goal.
He made a few runs as well, Gary. Did you notice that when he came on? But centre backs and they wasn't getting the ball either. So it's going to get to a stage maybe the pros will stop making the runs because nobody's going to. Or they're just waiting a big sloppy Suter coming back so he can do it.
So I don't think, Cameron, there's nothing else that really jumps out in the game for me. I think that it was a win, 3 points. It keeps us in contention. We've got a game against Falkirk on Sunday, and that would be potentially take us to 5 wins in a row, which is all you could really expected from Danny Rowell at this time. However, we've got a game in Europe, and this probably takes us to this. So we've got 0 points after 4 games. Is it 4 games? Is it 5 games? 4 games. 4 games, and we've still got 4. So we've got Braga, Ludogorets, Ferencváros, and Porto's the remaining 4 games. We're 5 points away from the top 24, I think it is just now, and we really need a win. And I suppose, how are we going to get that win? Do you have any confidence we could get that win? And what would you be looking to do to help make it happen?
I think you got to play through the back, start off. I think that too is way too vulnerable. I mean, I think in a perfect world, he played Enciala and Fernandez together on Saturday, but Enciala's not in the European squad, is he?
No.
So I think you've got to play them two just to get them used to playing with each other. But I think after the show on Saturday, I think you've got to play a 3 in there. You maybe put Tav at the right centre half, and you play Kasama right wing back and Magoma left wing back. I think would be the obvious choices.
See, before you go, just because it was in the group chat, but that when we talked, somebody's talked, I think maybe you said, but to move Tav into centre back, and I think Ricky's view was, well, he's the only one that's actually creating it. So if you move Tav into centre back, you've basically lost the limited creativity.
Yeah, but if you win, if you win, I don't know, you score 1 and you keep a clean sheet because you got Tav in your back line who's able to organise, and then you still win, don't you? 3 points. Mm-hmm. So I get the argument of playing your most creative player. But when your most creative player is still the defender, you've got issues. And I think there's more than enough creativity in that team. And Braga aren't going to sit in a low block, by the way. There'll be space for us to exploit. So if you're able to get Ant-Man or Gassama or even Miovski, you're able to get them in behind. Tav can play those deep balls. That's no problem. So he can still be a creative outlet from the back. But I just think that the two at the back for us, we just haven't got the personnel to do it.
No, I mean, I think it would be a bit of a bomb scare. If he plays Giga and Fernandez, I'd be worried sick, to be honest, every time the ball went anywhere near him. And I would totally agree with you that to have there and that potentially moving into midfield might be at different points of the game, probably that's the best option.
He did that on Saturday. He did that quite a lot. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of times when we were attacking, he almost adopted like a number 8 role. He was just stood in the middle. He did that quite a lot. So
must be a tactical thing. What about you, Scott? Then, so do you know? Are you looking at 3 at the back? Are you see things about bringing in Barron and Cameron and people like that, making changes around there? What would you be looking at to do for?
Yeah, go 3 at the back, Gary. I don't think we're good enough for back 4. I said that before the Livy game. I think we've got the players. I don't think we've got 2 centre halves so dominant, strong enough, quick enough, good enough upstairs. I mean, on the deck, I just think whoever plays against us is going to have chances to score goals. But I would keep Fernandez on the side. I know you probably have to play Giga again, but the boy isn't great in the deck. Fernandez, he looked a bit. His passing was quite short at times, and there, right. And if I did say Friday night, I fancy him for a goal, if you remember, just because he's some size and he's good at he's dominant in the air. I've not had that for a while, but now you have to go with a back 3 and just play Tav next to him, and Tav's more controlled at a back. I will say about Tav, but up and down the park isn't suiting him, guy. I know he went into the middle, but the ball he lost on Saturday when he's trying to turn on himself, his legs just went. He couldn't recover. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think it's getting to him as well. It's like Mahoma. It's like we've got guys who are playing constantly because there's nobody else to step in and take like minutes off him. And the young boy struggling with game time for a young guy, and Tav's struggling because we signed somebody to replace him to give him some time off the park and bring him in at times. But now the guy was saying isn't good enough to replace him, and it's like he's got to play all the time, and he's creating for you, he's still scoring goals at times, and you know what I mean. I still want to give a new contract in the season, by the way, just in case you're wondering, but
but no, we'll pass that. No, do you know, I think it is. When I was looking yesterday, actually, because I think Ricky said it in the chat, you know, he's played the most games probably the last 3 months. I know with Bar Butland and having his top goal scorer, top assists. I think, you know, that's not sensible. So I think we do need to start to look to phase him out because it's not fair on him. He does look knackered half the time towards the end of the games.
It's just been bad recruitment over the years. We've relied on him that heavily, but we've never brought anybody in to either compete with him or give him a break. Sterling done it to a point, and then he's just injured constantly. We brought in Aarons, who flutters to deceive. Is he good enough? A bit like some of the other players they brought in this season, and Gassama.
Remember Matt Perry? Oof.
Oh, jeez, oh man.
Oof.
I
was just about Gassama on Saturday. I was like, Cameron there. I was quite annoyed him because I thought he went in the half at one point.
And he was
throwing his arms.
He just give it to Magoma, and it's like just make that run inside because it drags someone away from him, so Magoma could cross it, and he just stand there and stare at him. And
I think the boy's ability, but he's another one who has to understand in Scotland. He can get away with that in the Championship, right? It might be when he's playing with Sheffield Wednesday, right? And no disrespect with Sheffield Wednesday, but if they consider he doesn't really mind. But doing it at Ibrox, he does it again a couple of times at Ibrox, and he loses a goal. All the good faith they've got him and the good times he's had since he's come in, he's looked decent at times, but that will go away. Because Cherny got it in the back, didn't he, start when he came in for main stuff, and then he realised, I have to work hard here. I'm not going to get a fan base back, and he'd done it tenfold. We need that Viggy Sama as well, and he's only a young kid, but we need him to realise it's not just that way, it's this way as well.
Right. And I think that goes back to recruitment. We've obviously bought a lot of younger players that are inexperienced, maybe not game intelligent yet in a lot of cases. That's maybe one of the things that's kind of shown in guys like Gassama. He's obviously got quality, he's got skill, he's got pace, but he's not necessarily got game intelligence a lot of time and does the wrong thing.
Gary, because they're young and they think, well, Rangers are a big club, but it's Scottish football. But they don't realise how much pressure there is in playing for Rangers. I mean, they come up here, they struggle with that intense pressure because making a mistake at a lot of other clubs, it's fine, but you know yourself, one bad pass, you're the crowd are on you. I think someone don't like that, and that's maybe how they do hide, or like maybe Asgard. Wait a minute here, I don't want to get this ball away because I don't want 30,000 people shouting at me.
That's where you would take somebody out of the squad, though, wouldn't it? You take them out of the squad.
Yeah.
So like give them 2-3 games. You just relax. See how easy, just relax. But we don't have that. So I think there's a bit of a mental fatigue here. Because bearing in mind, a lot of times we're playing Sunday, Thursday, Wednesday, Sunday, Thursday. We're not playing
hamster wheel over and over again.
Yeah, maybe go with Barron, Cameron, and Curtis, and give these Scottish boys a chance because they obviously know what it's like to be a player.
So what would you go with midfield then? So he's talking about is it Barron, Diamandi, and Raskin in the middle of the park?
That's the three I would pick, but I would like to see Cameron get a chance, and I'd like to see Curtis get a chance, but we need a win in Europe. I don't think we're not going to qualify, but I think we need a win because obviously we've not made any money for it apart from even the ticket sale money is as much as last season. So I think we need a result. Don't want to finish bottom of that league, Gary. No, it's better not finishing the worst record in the Champions League, but you don't want it in the Europa League, do you?
To be fair, a couple of wins can maybe scrape you in the top 24 as well. I'm not saying it's likely, but
we could do it. We could do it. It's perfectly doable. If you win 2 games and you get a draw, if we want to win Thursday, get a win against Fenerbahce, and we draw or beat Porto, got a chance. But again, it's like last season. It depends on other results.
Yeah, it does.
What about for you fullbacks or wing backs then? So you're looking to play obviously on the goal on my left. Are you thinking Gassama, Ant-Man, or Aarons for the right?
I would go with Gassama and Ant-Man.
Right and left.
Aye.
I don't like Ant-Man and wing back. I don't think it's effective. I think
I've done it before, and I think if you asked him to do it, he would get a bash. And I don't think
he would, but I don't think he's effective there. I think he's effective further up the pitch, running in behind. But as a wing back, he's not going to do that. I would play Aarons. I know a lot of people think it, but I agree with Great Wall. I would play Aarons at right wing back. I think he's done all right. In the cameos that he's done, I think he's done all right. I'd give him a shot.
Probably put him on that side and Magoma on the other side. So that's how he probably.
Because I think Gassama's for me. Yeah, I just think sometimes we say he's got the ability, but it's not consistent enough. So even if you play him, he could still be a wasted jersey like the one on Saturday. He should bury that. He should absolutely bury that.
I think he had to take that touch because the touch actually made it better for him. But he should have took it first time.
Well,
he should just smacked it with his right foot.
Yeah. He's right-footed.
Just put your foot through it. Yeah, just take the leather off it. It'll go in.
Taking that touch opened up better for him.
But if you're right-footed,
he didn't even hit the target.
No, he should have hit the target. But it made the gap bigger, Gary.
Aye. No, I get that. So we went 5 at the back, 3 in the middle with Barron, Diamandi, and Raskin. So you're going Danilo and Miovski, or are you going Asgard, or are you going Cameron, or what's it? Is that a 10 behind a striker?
I would go Curtis and Miovski, but you'll play probably Danilo. Maybe Miovski, maybe somebody next to him. I don't know if he'll start Miovski, but he'll probably start Danilo anyway. But I would go Miovski and Curtis. You have to give other guys a chance because you're never really going to find out what they're going to offer unless they get in a game. There's no point playing somebody 30 minutes here, 10 minutes here, and then saying they're not good enough. Give them a couple of games, then maybe we've got an opinion. Don't give them half an hour or 20 minutes. And Finlay Curtis has done sod all wrong. In my opinion, he deserves some minutes because I think he has scored goals when he's given opportunity. So why not give him a game? Because other strikers on the scoring, so he might as well give him a chance.
Is Timothy injured? Is that why he's not in the squad? Is he injured?
I don't know how long it's for. I don't think he's a serious
injury. His big toe with that transfer fee.
I think it was a muscle injury.
Damaged ego.
What would the front two for you then? Or front? Would you go even somebody like Gassama behind Miovski or?
I'd probably play a 3-4-3. So your 2 wing backs, your 2 midfield. I'd probably play Raskin and Barron, and then I'd play Cameron on the left of the 3 as like an inverted left winger, and then on the right, I'd stick Ant-Man up there with Miovski.
He done that. What game did Cameron do that? He did well in the game earlier in the season. He kind of played it.
I think it was it Graz or was it one of the European games? Was it not?
It was a European game.
Yeah, it was a European game. He did quite. Yeah. Oh no, was it Pilsen away? It was Pilsen away. Yeah, Pilsen away, and he did quite well actually. That'd be mine anyway. I put Miovski down the middle, Cameron on the left, and right. I'd have what did I say? Ant-Man.
So quite an attack, and I suppose you've got to go for it. We need attacking flair. We need a little bit
Got
of
nothing to
creativity.
lose, have we? We got. Let's face it, we got an out to lose.
Braga are a decent size. They're going to come and expecting to score and win. So we'll get an attack them. Don't sit back and it's shit goals.
We should first 15. We should be all on them. All on them. Every European game that I've watched where we've been successful, it's the first 15 minutes that counts. If you can get a goal within the first 10, the place is bouncing. It's amazing how much of an impact that can have on the teams when the place is bouncing. You're only going to get that by getting a goal.
See the Roma game, that was men against boys. That must be one of the worst performances at home in Europe I've seen for.
That was damage limitation. That was damage limitation.
Didn't even have to work hard for goals, Cameron, but then they just said,
no,
enough. Let's just rest for the weekend. I know they're sitting top of Serie A, but you're still having to give them a game. They've played better teams than that in the past and gave them a game.
Really.
I mean, we did have opportunities to score, but like you said, they never really got out a second game. It always reminded me of the Liverpool game in the Champions League. That game could have been whatever score they wanted it to be.
That scarred me for life.
Mate!
I'll ever remember
ringing my dad.
Just remember the first half. I don't even remember anymore.
I remember ringing my dad at half time, and I remember ringing my dad at half time saying, my dad was buzzing. He thought, we could nick this. I said, I don't know, Dad. I said, they're doing this funny warm up at half time. They're sprinting in and out of cones. Fucking 7-1.
So all for the days in the Champions League, we were getting beat 7-1. Now we're getting beat off much weaker teams than that.
Getting beat off Sturm Graz.
Exactly. I can't remember their names. That's how bad it was. Genk and Sturm Graz and teams like that.
They were doing the stadium tour. That's how it was for them. To them, it was just a piss up. They were doing the museum tour the day they played.
I said, probably get beat off Johnston Borough. They were playing.
So we've got Alexander's there saying 2-0 to Braga. So Scott, what's your score prediction? Do you think we can win it? Do you think we will win it?
I like to see the team first, Gary, but I'm hoping we win. I'm going to go. I'm going to have to give him a goal because I don't see us keeping clean sheets at all. So I'm going to say 2-1 to Rangers, but I'm just hoping we get something, Gary, because I don't want another defeat in Europe. I don't want that run to keep going.
And Paul joins you there with 2-1. Cameron, what about yourself?
3-2. 3-2 Rangers.
Yanis Hadji, but he kicked at the end.
Oh, deflected. Yeah, Ibrox, baby. All that crap.
There's a lot of 2-1s up there, so I think it's good to see there's still a little bit of confidence in the team. And you know what? When things can turn very quickly, and I always like when you listen to people saying after play the way they played against Livingston, we'll not do anything. But every game's different. Every game, no game is the same. So it all depends on how they start the game, as Cameron says, first 10, 15 minutes.
Gary, league games were poor, but European games are always a highlight of the week because we played really well.
I remember going to Dortmund's backyard and beating them 4-2, and we played shite on a Sunday against St. Johnson or whoever it was. You know, it doesn't matter.
I know it's two different games, so we will be back on Friday to discuss the win against Braga. And by that point, we may have sacked some more people from the backroom staff. Who knows? We may have appointed some ones, and we'll also be previewing a domestic game whereby we could have 5 wins in a row and hopefully start to make up a bit more ground because we made up ground in Hearts, if you remember rightly, at the weekend as well. And so we are, what is it, 9 points behind with a game in hand? Can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
League's like still on. Telling you, the league's on.
League's very much still on. Do you know that? And
call me insane.
If we can hang on till January, we can then bring in a few players and really make a bit more of a go of it. But anyway, that's for another day. We will leave you for this evening and back on Friday night to discuss all the trials and tribulations of being a Rangers fan over the course of the week. So thank you. We will try and fix this screen. I don't know what it looks like. We will need to go back and watch on YouTube to see how we look now. No idea what's happened there. But thank you all for watching, and we will see you on Friday. Good night now.